uploaded?
I'm fine with it. Everybody
Should I
else?
say there are
That's a
objections?
Greg, are you okay with it being recorded and uploaded? I think that was a thumbs up. It was half off the
Yeah,
screen.
it looked like a thumbs up. Good to see you,
Okay.
Greg.
there you go.
Okay, so I found this, and the reason I'm sharing it with you is I found it kind of strange. And so this is February 6th of 2027 at the time of this stele image, where it would be happening. And so this is it. If you remember, you had the sun and the moon, and it was all in the goat, and you had this comet that was here, right? So Soho, which is the comet that was here, not only has Maholt's been moved, but Soho has been moved. And so, but what's interesting is, you see this little dot here at the tip of my arrow?
Yeah.
Let's zoom in on that.
Yeah, please, because I can't see it very well.
Oh, can you see it now?
Yes, I can see it now.
Okay, it's this little bright image here, but we're going to zoom in closer on it. This is in the place where Soho would have been in between this sun and the moon. But this is a comet. But what's very interesting is it doesn't look like a normal comet. It almost looks like what you would call one of those lost in space circular spaceships with the light going around it. And you can see that the trajectory, the debris coming off is wedged the width of it. And it is very strange. This comet is called, I believe hold on, it's moving. Let's see if I can get it. Let's see here. Encke.
How do
Encke.
how do you spell it? Sorry.
Encke 2P.
Thank you.
Yes. So what an interesting scenario that is. And I don't know if that's because obviously it doesn't matter what comet it is. It seems we've changed comets here, or someone has. But this comet is in the place where the other one was on this date that matches the stele, with the sun on one side, the moon on the other, and the star or the comet in the middle.
So you're saying the comets have changed since the last time we looked at this with you?
Yes, this what was here, and I'll show you here in a second. So this is February the 6th. And if we were to go to, by the way, this comet moves from right to left, from over here in the leg and neck of the goat, and it's moving over here into Aquarius as the days go on next year. So, as I always say, the path of the comet is telling a story. So, anyhow, so just as a reminder, let me pull this up. Let's see here. Uh, Here it is. So if you remember that, you can see that, right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
Soho.
Yeah. So this was the comet in between the sun and the moon on February the 7th. This obviously basically the same date. The stele has, the sun and the moon obviously here on the left, with this star. And the reason we know this is the sun is it's got the circle around it, whereas this doesn't have the circle around it. So I've matched the colors of arrows to the objects that are here. And remember, I told you this was going to happen in 2027 in February, that we would need to be paying attention to things that were going to happen during that time. And so that's not only is it not showing Soho, but it's this Soho was a comet that bends around the sun, and this other object's not. It's just moving straight on through. So it's a totally different scenario.
How do
Bro-
we
bro-
explain that? Where did Soho go?
It's actually the I can't explain it, but Soho is now appearing down lower in the below the goat, and it's not even registering as a nothing like it was before. So it makes me wonder. And of course, everything is being watched and monitored. I mean, people are paying attention to, and if somebody's catching on to something, whether it's turning water into fuel to run your car or whatever it is, they're finding out about it. And so whether somebody didn't like what we were talking about it and changed things so nobody could see it, I don't know. That would be very speculative, but I find it strange that not only was Maholt's changed, but Soho's changed, and a different comet that was not there before is now in its place with a different path and we've looked at several comets just over the past several years. None of them has been in that shape. This is a very strange shape.
Wow.
So I don't know what to make of it. I mean, I just found it today, so haven't really had a chance to think about it. So yeah, go ahead, Sonia.
Brother Mark, is that just in the program that you're using, or did you double check it in another program in case?
I did not check it in another program.
Okay. I was just curious if someone else has got one of the other programs, because what you're using Starry Night, aren't you?
Yes.
So maybe if it'd be interesting to see. I have no idea how to use this program, but I can try.
Might be a different shape too.
Yeah, and it could be a different shape on a different program. So
Yeah.
I did for your benefit put up some of the comets that are going to be up here. Uh-oh, what was that?
Mark, did you see Cyrus's comment in the chat?
I'm sorry, I didn't.
He points out Enki, E-N-K-I, was the father of Marduk, the god of Nebuchadnezzar.
That's right. Yeah, I remember seeing that name. I'm thinking about the comment, but yeah, that's very interesting. And just out of curiosity, Cyrus, I'm going to take this off so I can talk about that. So, at what location would this have been? What part of the world would have been this name have been worshipped or considered or been a big deal?
Samaria.
And so this is the Mesopotamia area that this stele was found in. And so that is very interesting that from the same area that this stele was found in, here we have this new comet that's got this name attached to it in this weird shape. I mean, we've all seen the streams that are coming off of comets are more like a tail. Never have we seen a wedge like this coming off of it. It's just like, whoa, what's going on here? Yeah.
Looks like one of those landscape lights you put in the ground.
Yeah. 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 Very, very strange indeed. So the I was going to mention the February 6th, that's coming up. Also, the Boutids start tonight, which is the meteor shower from the constellation Bootes, which is the bow is he that cometh. This is the constellation that has a picture of the Redeemer Yeshua. He's got a sickle in his hand and he's got a slain enemy in the other. So meteor showers from it. And they say that the meteor showers can be very different year to year. They're one of the slowest moving meteor showers of all that we see throughout the year. And a lot of it's going to be washed out by the presence of the moon tonight. But they're very, very slow, very, very slow moving chunks of ice. So, yeah.
And you said that'll be tonight?
Yeah, they start tonight. It's called the Bootids, Bootids. So, like I said, the Mars crosses, in May of 2026, Mars crosses Regulus, the King Star. So, coming up in May, we've got Mars, the war planet, crossing the King Star. That's a very big deal. And then in July, Jupiter crosses Regulus right after Mars does. It approaches it very, very close in December of 2026 again.
What approaches what? Sorry, in 2026?
Yeah, so basically from July to Jupiter, because remember that they do this retrograde. So,
Yes.
so starting in July, Jupiter is going to come real close to Regulus. And so you want to keep your eyes open as it's moving through this. Regulus is a big star. It's not only big, it's got a great name, but it's one of the four corners. And then in November the 12th of this year, Virgo does a retrograde in the spike of the barley. At the same time that Mars and Jupiter are near Regulus. So
hang on, what does a retrograde? You said Virgo does a retrograde. What is it? Isn't Virgo the constellation?
let's take a look at it.
Okay.
Back out of that. Let's say there's a retrograde in November. Okay, so here is Venus, right?
Yep.
So I'll just back up a few days. Let me center it so you can see what's going on.
Wanting to go get wet and stinky.
All right, so we're backing up. And so you'll see that
Out of there.
we're backing up to August the 28th. So it enters into Spica August, the end of August, comes right across into Spica. And as it's moving forward, it obviously is going to stop here at the feet. And this is the retrograde. It goes back the other direction in the retrograde. And as it's moving into Spica again in this retrograde, it comes to a stop here. And then now starts moving back forward again in its normal motion. And that it comes out of that motion at the latter part of November. So it's a very interesting, to see Venus do that. It's just something to be watchful of this timing. Also, it's very interesting that it's doing it during the fall feast. So that's another reason to keep an eye on what's going on in that same idea. I also wanted to remind you, I'll share this screen with you too, is that, where is, let's see here. Just to remind you about this wonderful event here. This is happening a year from now, just a little over a year, in 2027. The solar eclipse that Israel sees that will be smack dab right over the temple in Egypt. So 2027 is going to be an interesting year. So that's just, we enter that here in 6 months. So it's something to be keeping in your mind of what's going on. All right.
It's funny what you said earlier about time moving fast, because I remember you saying this and it felt like it was so far away, and
Yeah.
now it's not. It's really it's just a year away.
Everything has moved up on us fast. And so this is what will be seen in all Middle East. You can see how wide the path of the degree decreases the further out you get away from the center part. But you can see that, Israel here on this line here, they're definitely going to see a reduction in the sun's brightness, pretty significant. So it'll appear like the sun has gone down at dusk. It'll be like a dusk viewing, like the sun goes down at noontime. So something to keep in your thoughts as we move forward. Israel will see it. And then let's see, I think I had, I put this up, but I didn't get a chance to talk about it. The comets that are happening. So you got 10P Temple, you've got Pan-STARRS. Temple is a 9.9 magnitude, Pan-STARRS is 11.6. I haven't had a chance to track their trajectory, but if you punch in the name of the comet into your program that you're using, whether it's Stellarium or Starry Night, you'll be able to track their trajectory and see what path they make. I would also encourage you to take a look at this Schwarzmann comet here, because every time the Schwarzmann comets appear that I have noticed in history, it has always been a big deal. So even though it's a 13.3, not real bright, I think that we should be looking at the trajectory, the path that it's going through. So those are the ones to be looking at. I think McNaught is a reoccurring comet that comes through, so it's coming through. These are up right now. Temple, Pan-STARRS, C2025R3, McNaught, and 88P Howell.
When you say up right now, you mean they're visible in the sky right now?
Not visible. You may be able to see Temple, but they're up in the sky with aided binoculars and other telescopes and stuff like that. You'll be able to see it.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm. I think I had something else for you. What was it? Oh, I should have stayed on that same page. 1 second. And then, just as a reminder, I'm not sure how to. There we go. You guys can see that?
Mercury?
You see this whole thing?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Yes.
Could you not hear me?
Yes, can hear you.
Hear me now?
Yep. You've got some crazy music going.
Yeah, I'm trying to figure out how to stop that.
Program.
How's that?
That works.
Okay. Okay, so just to give you an idea of what's happening, so this is August. Just looking at some of the alignments that's happening ahead of us. I think I was looking at Saturn. 1 second. Right here. You see the Earth, Venus, and Saturn? So they're doing a little of alignment here in August of this year, around the 20th. You see that? This line here that's coming between them.
Yep.
So you have an alignment here with these planets, right? And then there's another one I'll have to back up here to show you the other one. Here on June the 10th, we had alignment with Jupiter, Venus, and Earth, and Mercury was real close. So that was just happening. And I thought I saw one more. Maybe not. I thought it was with Mars. Oh, there we go. Saturn and Mars. Yeah. Okay. Go ahead, Summer.
I was just wondering what some of these things signify again, a retrograde or the planetary alignments, or what's the significance?
So the retrograde, it is significant because they don't do the retrograde. I mean, they do them, but they're not real often. And so when they happen, especially over significant spots in the heavens, in combination with, in my opinion, if it's happening around a feast time, I think it's something to be watchful over. So I'm looking at connections of multiple things when I see those retrogrades.
Okay.
So if it's happening, it's like for retrogrades happening January the 20th, and it's happening in an area that's not so significant, at least significant to me, I wouldn't be paying as much of attention to it as I would be during happening in the barley, the spica, and happening during the feast time of the fall feast. So
Okay.
yeah,
And then if you could just remind me again the significance of the meteors. I know I have it in my past notes. I'm not looking at them.
Significance of the
Meteors.
Oh, the meteor showers.
Well,
Is that what you're referring?
The comets. I'm sorry, the comets.
Oh, okay.
There.
So so the comets are coming through, and they pass through constellations. That each constellation has a story, and based on the names of the stars that God named them, they carry a message and a story. And I believe that when the Magi were following a star, they were following a comet, because the path of the comet was telling them what was going on in the heavens. So they could see the message, that this comet went through the king's star. It went through the lion. It went through the desire of the nations, and went through the branch. And they knew what the branch was. They knew who the desire of the nations were. They knew that a king was coming, and all of these things together was telling a story.
Okay.
And so I think if we follow them, their path, because obviously God can choose which constellations they pass through. He's in control of all that.
Yeah.
And so if we're paying attention to the path that they're going, it's kind of like the pointer reading the text on a Torah scroll. We're following the pointer, and it's reading a certain passage or text. And if we're following along with the pointer and reading it with it, we're catching what's being said. So maybe it's God's pointer, who knows?
Okay. Thank you.
What was the message that Cyrus had said? I didn't catch it.
He was talking about the cycles, that the August 20, which you brought up, it's the maximum peak of the cycle. Yeah. And he was saying that he was warning us about this coming cycle, because it's it's a big one.
So with those things, Cyrus, does that pique your needle? Does your needle move a little bit with some of that?
Yeah, I've been watching it. Of course, we just had a very beautiful alignment with the moon and Venus and Jupiter and Mercury here for the last 3 or 4 days. It was just perfect.
Yeah.
And so whenever you get the big gas giants, Jupiter, Saturn, Neptune, Uranus, whenever you get those gas giants lining up somewhere, it puts stress on the earth. And so that's something I'm always watching.
Yeah. So the interesting thing about that beautiful alignment, my wife and I were watching too, is really, really beautiful in the sky, is the constellation that it's happening in is the crab, the possession held fast. So yeah, it's very, very interesting where that beautiful thing was taking place at. Greg.
Hey, how are you, Mark?
Good. How are you?
Good. Yeah, Shalom Aleichem. So the question I had was with the election in November and what you're saying is retrograde November 12th, which is close or following the election. Do you tie anything to that, or have you looked into that at all? You're muted, Mark.
I didn't even think about the election in November when I was looking at all this. My mind was, trying to, put the material together for you guys to look at. But yeah, and it's interesting that you bring the election up because as I was searching for some interesting thoughts about let me pull this up here. It said, and one of the things I looked at, um, pardon me. It says that the Sumerian king list, scholars used official texts like the Sumerian king list, which recorded the passing of time based entirely on which city they held the divine right of kingship, which dynasty was currently in power. And the Mesopotamians were deeply observant of the stars, and many believe that cosmic configurations, eclipses of this alignment of specific planets, signaled the end of one era and the birth of a new era, specifically politically, a kingship or a rule or a right to rule based on what was happening, even to the point of they believed that rule was granted by the heavens, and when a dynasty became corrupt or unjust, heaven would signal its displeasure at the end of that age through terrestrial astronomical omens, such as massive floods, droughts, famines, peasant uprisings. These kinds of things were happening. So to them in the ancient world, these things, and obviously there had to be some accuracy to it, or if it was not something that that was actually bearing forth fruit, they would have abandoned it. But it seems as though because it was something that was measurable and something that they could they could tell, and so they judged everything based on what was happening, what was going on earth, and in combination what was going on in the heavens, deciding the right to rule and whether a king or a political position fell or rose. So yeah, I forgot I looked at that. So what you had just mentioned reminded me of it.
And that's what I'm doing. I'll bring out a couple other things. My daughter said, "Hey, your iPhones are way too old," and so she negotiated and got my wife and I free iPhones because we've been customers for T-Mobile so long. But the thing about that is the camera is unbelievably better, especially for photographing the heavens. It is incredible what it's picking up. So that's just a little tidbit out there. But the other thing I wanted to bring out, I had a fella, let's see, yeah, he was down in Mexico, and he said, "Hey, got cloud cover, not going to be able to see the new moon, the crescent, the waxing crescent." I said, "Don't give up." I said, "It'll be hidden until it gets below the cloud layer, and you for 5 to 6, 7 short minutes, you may be able to see it. So don't give up." And so he did. He had his binoculars, which obviously helps. And I wanted to pass that on to everybody, just because you have cloud cover. And we had cloud cover here in Illinois this past time. And sure enough, it came below, and we could see it it was just huge. One of the biggest waxing crescents I've ever seen. So don't give up just because you have cloud cover, because once it goes below, and when you start looking three-dimensionally in your mind of where the moon is relative to the earth, then you'll be able to see it. Very short period, but that's all. The other thing is, have you done any research? And I'm still working on the math, by the way, for the 29 and 30-day months. So, so I have to run it. I have to run it through a number of cycles to make sure that it's working before I open my big mouth. And but I'll be in touch with you when I get that. But have you gone back when the Nazis got active, and before we came up with the show, did you go through the 30s before 39 and come up with, have you looked at anything like that as to what was being signaled in the heavens?
Before 2039?
No, before 1939.
Oh, before 1939. A few places I have. And, some of those places were around specific events. I just did and I've been invited to go speak in Tennessee in July or August. We've got to pick a date, but about the heavens. But we did one in Florida a couple months ago, and I had mentioned to them, and I think I told you guys too, but there's 6 events going back from the Exodus all the way up to 2032, that every time there's a redemption, every time there's a people, specifically the people of Israel, the nation of Israel, the people of Abraham's descendants, have been in exile, and there's been a redemption or a release of them coming back out of captivity. The Saturn has been between the horns of the bull every single time, from 1446 to the 500s, to Yeshua dying on the stake, to the people being released out of the concentration camps in 45, and then the one that's happening in 2032. So for me, that to happen that many times is pretty hard to just be a coincidence. Yeah.
Drilling home the idolatrous traits of Israel. Yeah.
It seems as though it's themed with the redemption, and all of them have happened during the April time. And so it's very stunning. And so, as I look forward, I've had some of the people in our congregation say, what do you think is going to happen then in 2032? Well, I don't know. I don't know who's going to be redeemed or who's going to be set out, released out of exile. I mean, you can look at some of the scriptures, you can take some guesses. I don't want to put any specifics on it, but it seems as though if we were to take what's happened in the past, it's happening again, and it's been right on the money every time it's happened. So that one is a big one. I really am focusing in on that because, as you know, I'm very big on a lot of the things in the heavens happening in the 30s. And I think this is just the spidey senses going off, is that this 2027 with this stele and the solar eclipse is really going to kick things off for whatever degree or whatever.
You think maybe could be tied to election results, because they are not sworn in until 27. So a lot of that seems to be, I'm just thinking of events, but it looks like telegraph or something.
I'll share something with you that I haven't shared before, and and this isn't any prediction. I'm not foretelling anything. I'm just noticing what's happened in the past, because that's what I like to do. My wife always says, Mark, you collect data and you look at data, things that have in the past, and you just present the data, right? This is what's happened. And so if you look at all of the catastrophes that's happened going forward, going back, and the ones that are predicted to come forward, it obviously appears to be something something is on a cycle that brings about this earth, the cataclysmic stuff on the earth. And it's been theorized by a couple of gentlemen that they think, two other individuals that I know think that it's a heavenly body that's way out that comes in, and it has such a pull, such as Cyrus is saying, these big gas giants, they really can disrupt things. So they have such a magnetic pull that it really, because if, like Cyrus is saying, you can see the earthquakes becoming more significant. It's obvious it's happening more frequently. You can see the weather patterns are really getting disrupted. You can see all of the volcanoes, all this stuff happening, and then the other thing to top it off with is these inbound fireballs that's happening all over the place, just really increased in the people observing and recording these fireballs coming in. So what's doing all of that? Why is it all connected in a timing synced, to now? I mean, why wouldn't they be? Oh, the earthquakes happen in one little area, and then the volcanoes happen. They're separate, but yet they all seem to be connected to a certain timing of an event. So it appears as though, like the scriptures say, the earthquake that's coming in the future is greater than any earthquake you've ever had in the past. This made me wonder, if it's an inbound object, what if the other times that this object has come in, the proximity and closeness to the earth, whether it was on the other side of the sun, whether it was on the other side of the moon, where it was at, the destructive power of it was not so severe, but this time it's going to be in a proximity that's going to be very severe. And that would make sense to me, because God is about cycles, and something that would come periodically through time that bring about those things that he as I mentioned in that scripture that says he's calling his mighty warriors from the farthest heavens to come and do his bidding. So I've always wondered, is that mighty warrior, is that something that he's bringing in, and he's brought it in before? I don't know, but it seems like it kind of fits, but I could be wrong. I could be, my spidey senses could be completely off. So
It's funny you talk about spidey senses, because I actually said that to Cyrus yesterday. My spidey senses have been up on high alert for about for a while, but getting worse and worse and worse. And yeah, I'm sure everyone else's are as well, but I actually had a question. You mentioned those 6 events, and I tried to start writing them down, but I only got the release out of the concentration camps in 2045. That's the only one I got down, so I missed everything.
would you like to see it?
Yeah, that'd be awesome.
Let's see here.
And when is Saturn between the horns of the bull in 2032 is the next question, but let's see that first, one thing at a time. I bet I wrote that question.
Yeah, I'll show you each one of them.
Oh, that'd be great.
Let's see. I may not have transitioned it over. Sorry, I wasn't ready for that.
You know my questions.
Let's see. April, March. Oh, here we go. Okay. I'm moving it from one computer to the other so you can see it, because the other computer, you wouldn't be able to see a share screen with it. Okay. Sorry for the wait. Okay. Do we want to, Pamela, you want to ask your question while I'm pulling this up?
Sure, it might be an easy one. I live in Tennessee, so I was just wondering when you come, do you have any idea east, west, middle Tennessee?
Uh, do you remember the city that's in? Yeah, I don't remember. I'll have to ask. I'll I'll find out and I'll send it on the email and share that.
Oh, that would be cool. Would love to get to meet you guys and hear what you have
Yeah.
to say. Thanks.
Okay, let's see. I'm not sure which one. I think I picked the wrong one. You can see this.
Yep.
Yes.
Okay. All right. So there were 3 returns from exile. There was the one in 586 BC, and this is obviously this could be off a little bit, but the temple rebuilt 538 to 516. The people reformed 458 to 456. The wall rebuilt 444 to 432. Nehemiah's return 430 question mark. So let me get to, here is that's not the one I want. I want this one. So this is, you see up here in the top, this says 538 to 516 BC, temple rebuilt under Zerubbabel. So April 7th, 532, which is during this time. Here is Saturn that's between the horns of the bull, right here around Passover. Everybody sees that?
Yes.
I need to make it bigger. I don't know if it makes it bigger helps you or not, but does it get bigger for you when I do that?
Barely, but we can see it. I can see it good.
We can, I was going to suggest if you made it a slideshow, we would be able to, it would just go bigger, I think.
Let's see.
There, that's bigger.
Something happened there with that though. Anyway, okay. So and then you have in the third one, the wall being rebuilt 444 to 432. Up in the top left, April 7th, 444. You can see that again around Passover, the Saturn is between the horns of the bull, right?
Mm.
Yeah.
This will be a top left corner. This is June. This isn't during the Passover time, but it is around the time they would be arriving at Sinai. 446 BCE is whenever they came out of Egypt. And you see Saturn is in the horns of the bull. So I put a big number so you can see that this was number 1, number 2, number 3, number 4.
Well, would that one before maybe be around Shavuot in June, maybe?
Yes. Yeah, that's what I was going to say that, and I failed to mention, but it's be around the time they arrive at Sinai for Shavuot. And then the next one is, you can see up here, June 1st, 28 CE, which if this is the year that Yeshua would be the year of release being proclaimed, and 29 dying on the stake, whatever this 28, 29 timeline would be. You see, again, this would be redemption because he says, I'm coming to set the captives free. So here is Saturn in the horns of the bull. And very, very unusual, very hard to blow that off as just coincidence of smoke.
Would that be Shavuot again? Would that be Shavuot again?
Yeah, it would be around Shavuot again.
Yeah.
And so this would be April of 1944. And up at the top, you can see that I put the first major camp to be released by the Soviets was in this time frame of 1944. the first major camp of the Jews being released out of the concentration camps. So during this captives being set free of 1944, again, we have Saturn in the horns of the bull. And when is the next time going forward that the Saturn is in the horns of the bull? April 1st of 2032.
Oh my gosh. So are these always when the captives are being released?
Well,
This is
I'm mentioning what I'm doing is I'm mentioning the significant ones in history when captives have been released, and these are all real significant ones, real big ones. And for the Saturn to be in the horns of the bull, all of those previous times of those significant ones, to me, is a big deal. So, and this one is the last one in 2032.
It was never when they were going into captivity, though.
No, this is at the release.
Okay.
This is always at the release when the captives are being set free to go home.
Got it.
You're
Wow.
coming out of captivity and you're going back to the land, because that's what and in my opinion, if Yeshua he says, I came for the lost sheep of the house of Israel. The house of Israel was in captivity. They were exiled. They couldn't come back. And so he's dying to bring back these people that, as Paul says, they had no hope. They were far off. They were cut off. There was just no hope for them. And now they had hope because the good news was coming to them in the areas where they had been exiled, in Turkey and, northern Mesopotamia. And so they were having the good news come to them. Hey, your exile is over. You're being allowed to come back. You can now approach the holy place. You can now come, because remember, when you have a death sentence on you, as I've been learning here recently with in Leviticus, you with the impurity and uncleanness, you can't approach to bring offerings. You cannot do that, and so it's a big deal. The impurity has to be dealt with, and so this is what I think is happening, and with Yeshua dying. So anyway, yeah, to me, again, because I look at data, and not only do I look at data, but I'm really big on coincidence, or things that happen again and again, patterns. And so when I see a pattern like this, when I saw the first one, I was like, oh, that's interesting. I see the second one, like, oh, that's pretty cool. When it happens 5 and 6 times, because, you're like, oh, okay, well, that's maybe God's trying to tell us something. Go ahead, Greg.
So, Mark, are you, like I say, I'm with you on this as far as tying Torah to the heavens. So
yeah,
you're correct on the purity, but the other thing too that I was going to ask you about with the bulls is if when you look at the Midbar Numbers 28 and 29, you end up always with 2 bullocks that and again tied to our idolatry. There's no the bulls don't show up until we have this rebellion, and like I say, where it's look at our own human nature. We're rebellious. We've been and we've been punished, and then we're saved, released, and this has got to be this. There is no coincidence with this, and that's exactly what you brought up about Daniel. He knew that God changes the epochs, so that's it. Yeah,
and I think he may have seen it as well, what was going on in the heavens. And by the way, in Numbers 28, 29, you also have the lamb that's being the morning and the evening offering with the lamb, and so that ties in with the bull because the lamb is going onto the stake. And talking about the impurity, I saw this many years ago. If you look at the death of Yeshua, this whole cleansing of the leper, you had to have scarlet, you had to have hyssop, you had to have the cedar. The one bird had to be killed over the running water in an earthen vessel. The live bird gets to go free. And standing before the nation of Israel, you have 2 birds. You've got Yeshua and Barabbas that have a very similar name. one is going to be set free and one is going to be slain. But when they slay Yeshua, he is slain over the Kidron Valley on the Mount of Olives with running water under him, and he's in an earthen vessel, flesh. He's facing the Temple Mount like the red heifer did. And this whole idea of him calling himself the living water, well, that's what the ash of the red heifer is called in Numbers. It calls it in English, it says flowing water, but it's actually Chaim Mayim. It's the living water.
Living water,
so, yeah. It's the one thing that takes away the death, the defilement from death, and which is what the Northern Kingdom had. They had the death sentence on them because they had been exiled and they had been divorced, and it had to be dealt with. That in order for them to come back, their impurity, their contamination of death. And Jacob Milgram, he does an incredible. I learned this year something new from him. He states that when the English calls it sin offering, he says it's never, ever, ever understood as a sin offering. It was always called a purity offering. Whenever the whole issues of the cleansing and all of these things, when it talks about bringing the chatat offering, was never understood to be a sin offering. It was strictly a purity offering. And he said, this was astounding to me. I did not know this. He says that forgiveness was the critical piece of it all, because repentance reduces the high-handed willful sin down to a unwillful sin, so it can be mitigated and atoned for. And without it, it cannot be done. And this is why John the Baptist had to go and preach a baptism of repentance to prepare the way for Yeshua, so that offering could bring the high-handed sins down to that which could be mitigated with an offering.
Yeah, I'm totally with you on all that, because King David in Psalm 103 says, we have not been punished according to our, and it's true. I mean, it's incredible. But the other thing too, the kukot, the red heifer, there's the sprinkling. I just went through all this, with my wife. My mother passed here early this month, and so there's all these laws about when a death occurs in the tent and the vessels that are exposed, that are open, etc. But the water had to be sprinkled on these to purify on the third and seventh day, and the Ruach's just saying 3 days in the earth. I mean, these numbers, the numerology, the symbolism, it's literally just hammering away. And 7 days, he's the Lord of the Sabbath, which is 7. And I mean, all this numerology is just, I'm with you 100%.
And the writer in the New Testament says that whenever they were stood at Mount Sinai, not only did they have the blood sprinkled on them, he says, but the hyssop and the scarlet was there. And so you have all of the elements that's happening at all of these cleansing of death and leper, this purification process. They're being redeemed from captivity. They've got to come in, and now they've got to be cleansed as a people with this process. And so we see that, and to me, it's just, I'm going through this, and I have just a feeling that God is calling all of us, that we realize who we are, a kingdom of priests, that we need to act as a priesthood to call, as Moses did in his day, as Noah did in his day, and John the Baptist, that this spirit of Elijah, we're to be preparing the way again for his soon return, to tell the people, you got to repent, or your willful sins cannot be dealt with. You're done. And you go to fire. Well,
it's yeah.
I have a theory. And this is a theory.
Let's hear it.
Because remember, Cornelius, obviously it said he was a man who feared God, which is always, you see the phrase, the fear of God is always talking about keeping the commandments. So it's obviously a man that prayed at the hours of prayer. He's keeping the commandments. And it's very possible he's 700 years removed from the Northern Kingdom. He could be a descendant of the Northern Kingdom. We don't know. But what if the centurion that speared Yeshua and the water and the blood hit him, what if he was a descendant of the northern kingdom and the water and the blood hit him and he was a representative of the whole nation that got doused with the water and the blood to purify and cleanse?
Well, I've been having a discussion with a lot of men in different countries now, and we're all saying, just like when my mother died, I can't go through. There is no red heifer. That somebody found one supposedly, and they got to wait till it gets older and make sure the hairs don't change. But long story short, we're all saying there's all these laws we cannot perform, and yet Yeshua, his numerology, his symbolism, everything that's in there, his blood is covering those mitzvot that we cannot accomplish, and it doesn't bring a lot of it makes him bigger than there are no words for it.
Right.
He's covering a multitude of sins of commandments we can't even keep. We can put them in our heart and say, okay, Lord, this is what I was supposed to do when this happens, but I can't. And to find out that there's a track of dispersed Israel coming alive now, and the Jews are saying we want the temple. You see these two parallel tracks now, and all of a sudden they're saying we can't keep the Torah. I find it more than there are no words for me at this point. Yeah.
It's all good stuff. And so I don't know how I got off on all that, but anyway, so it's this Saturn in the horns, and whatever's coming in 2032. I'm excited. I can't wait to see, because it's almost like we have we've been given the privilege to see a window that something possible, 100, a million to one, that something could happen as significant as happened in those other events. And that would be astounding if that happened.
Do we have any, so when we were talking about what was happening around Yom Teruah, Yom HaKippurim, and Sukkot this year, we were talking about like Venus did the retrograde through September through November, but was there anything with the comets? Because I guess maybe you can't see them anymore. Is that right?
Well, some of them I can't, but I will try to track these ones that are up right now, and the ones that will appear in September and October, and I'll just send an email. What I'll do is I'll send an email, and I'll say the name of the comet, and then I'll put like Virgo, Leo, and Cancer, and that tells you the path that it's taking. And so what you would want to do is just take a look at E.W. Bullinger and see what each of those constellations biblically mean, to get an idea of what's the message being said during this fall time that these comets are going through, and the message that could be proclaiming to us.
Okay, thank you. I think we're going to try and get together at some point and work out how to use Stellarium because, since the comets are gone from Starry Night, then maybe we might be able to find them again in there potentially.
Yeah, and I'm going to suggest we should probably get together in the first half of September to at least start planning for the figuring out the feast days for 2027. And I know you've done that, but what I'd like to do is all of us go through it again, because many eyes help, as Greg pointed out, a little error that was on the calendar that we did for this year. With many eyes, we can help keep that at a real, hopefully, zero.
Absolutely. I think that's a really good idea. I mean, I've done up till 2029, but I want to do further, but it is very, very time consuming to do.
Yes, it is. Yes, it is.
Yeah.
And thank you for your work.
Welcome. I just think that, at some point we potentially can be cut off from each other. So if we've got something at least written down, then we've got some sort of framework, I think.
Well, with Cyrus looking at a lot of paper there, I'm hoping he's about ready to unload something on us based on the stuff he's been hearing. So have you got something for us, Cyrus?
No, I was just looking, and I just thought it was a really nice coincidence that the cycle that we're coming into ends on Yom Kippur.
Hmm.
I just thought that was kind of an interesting thing.
Just coincidence, right?
Yeah, that's correct. You know, all these little coincidences that run around stirring up trouble.
Yeah.
But yeah, that was the big thing for me when I was looking at this cycle. It's global, and that was I've watched it for years, 20, I don't know, 3, 4 years, and didn't understand why, when you end up with an eclipse, especially a solar eclipse, over one of the poles, what's the significance? What are the penguins, going to rebel, or what? What's it trying to tell me? And it wasn't until 2019 that I really, really figured it out, and because I was throwing darts at it, trying to hit all around it. And then 2019, I saw this thing coming out of China that was going to go worldwide. And it was, I think the solar eclipse was over Antarctica. And then I see this solar eclipse in 20 coming up in 2022. And I thought, my gosh, this is going to affect the whole world too. But all I see right now, and all I could see, was war in Russia and Ukraine. And I don't know if you were with me that time. I was on Brother Joe's show. He said, "No, I don't see anything coming out of Russia and Ukraine." And I said, well, I'm looking at it for, the beginning of the year, especially around February. And, of course, the war started in February, and it affected every place. All of a sudden, there's realignments of politics, and economics are realigned. And, everything changed in February of 2022, March 2022. And this is the same type of cycle. It's a global cycle. It's very powerful. And really, it's pointing at North America, South America, but also Western Europe, and some of Eastern Europe as well. But I'm talking about the lunar eclipse now. So I'm looking at this and looking at that solar eclipse at the pole and thinking, this is, and to even make things worse, the lunar eclipse hits Antarctica and goes up all the way up to Canada. So it's hitting the poles as well. So, you get a double whammy there, and it's like there's something going on or going to happen during this period of time. July, August, September, October, there's something going to happen. So anyway, that's I just wanted to check that date of what did I tell you now? Was it September?
September and October.
Yeah, September. It'd be, yeah. It's going to be hitting us on the feast days.
Yeah, during the feast. Yeah. And remember, we were supposed to see Apophis this year visually. We haven't, but as we're getting closer, you would think that something should be happening. And I'm wondering, with this that you're seeing happening here during these fall feasts, with this eclipse happening over that temple in August of next year, I mean, do you see any connection with this solar eclipse over that Hathor temple?
I haven't even tried to break it down, Mark. Um, I always try to wait till one cycle's finished before I look at the next one. And that allows me to try to decode what I've seen. And, I make so many mistakes. I'd probably just completely blow it if I looked at it, but I could try.
Yeah. Be interesting. It's just such a unusual location. Just, I mean, right over the top of that temple. It's just
Yeah, that's one of those little coincidences that pop up, isn't it? I really don't know what to say. It's just
yeah.
August 20th. I'm looking at that Earth, Venus, Saturn. That kind of makes me think that it just got bigger. Yeah. this year, this year's cycle just got bigger with an alignment. With
It's
especially
interesting
with
to
Saturn
say
and Earth.
you're saying it got bigger, and yet they're all saying that the El Nino got bigger. So you
Yeah.
got several things that are getting bigger this fall.
Yeah, like earthquakes. Yeah. Mhm.
Yeah.
So I know there's not a coincidence. I'm just not smart enough to figure out
Yeah.
what the important part is for us today.
Yeah. Okay. That's all I have.
Thanks for that, Brother Mark.
Yeah.
And I'll look forward to the email about the feast
Yeah.
day with the comets, which we no longer have access to. And we will try and work out on Stellarium between us. We'll try and nut out how to do it so that if we can find the comets on there, that would be maybe helpful, especially Soho and Maholtz. So
Yes.
yeah,
Perfect.
I don't know. We'll do our best.
I'll see what I can do about running that program. I cannot run it at the same time as having Zoom downloaded. My laptop doesn't want to support too many big things at once anymore. So I'm trying to uninstall and reinstall to use different things.
Okay.
Yeah. All right.
Awesome.
Does anyone have anything else to add? Will we call it an evening?
I want to
morning.
thank you, Mark. You're always so gracious with your time.
Yeah. And we're very sorry to hear that your mother passed. Thank you guys for inviting me.
Thanks for putting this together, Sonia.
Yeah.
Hey, Cyrus, I had one real quick question for you, and that was Stephen Burns says that earthquakes, volcanoes have a effect on the exact opposite side of the Earth. It can happen days later, but there's always an opposite and equal reaction.
That's correct.
Funny you say
Yeah.
that is
Yeah,
correct.
that's
Okay.
correct. Yes,
Okay.
it is. And you'll see if you check with what's his name? Dutch Sense. Dutch Sense will look at a volcano in one place and he'll tell you where to look for the reaction 1, 2, 3, 4 days later, and it'll be in that position. And I mean, he gets very close, every close. And what was his name? Stan Deyo used to do it. But the government cut off his access to the data he was using from the Naval Observatory. So, because he was getting very, very accurate in his prediction of earthquakes. So they
Can't
just
have that.
cut off his access to the information. What's that?
Said we can't have that, can we?
No, huh?
I think Western Warren also was talking about earthquakes due to the dark star, like what you were talking about, Brother Mark, about the body entering in. He said exactly the same thing, and he's done about 6 or so over the past sort of 18 months
He
interviews
did one
with.
2 weeks ago.
Yeah, I watched that one.
Yeah.
With Greg Hunter's USA Watchdog. It's on Rumble, and yeah, he's been sounding the warning about the dark star coming in and the consequences of that. So
Also, they're not far from Brother Mark's Sukkot site. In fact, not far from Tucson, there is Mount Graham, just like graham cracker, and it's an observatory, and they have a special device called the Lucifer device, and it's run by Jesuits. I think that's kind of appropriate, but anyway, this device detects unseen phenomena entering the solar system. So I have a feeling that they are watching it as well. And so, I've never heard anything out of them. But see, Tom Horn wrote 1 or 2 books about it before he passed away. Yeah, it's just one of those coincidences that pop up that all of a sudden people are looking for things that are unseen by the naked eye or even detected by the human eye. Things that are near infrared or something of that nature that have an effect on the earth.
Have you met any aliens yet?
Yeah, I wanted to share one other thing. I wanted to share one other thing with you that you might find interesting, and that is I had done a little bit of research to find out. I like to find out in the people back in the history when they saw a phenomenon in the heavens, was it recorded? And I found out that in the year 1102, on the Friday of the first of the week of Lent, an unusual star appeared in the evening. It appeared in the south and west, visible for 25 days and always at the same hour. From the south, a great shaft of light moved towards it. After this, a Monday, Thursday, 2 moons were seen, one of them in the east. And in the year AD 1300, a fearful comet appeared in the sky. And this year, on St. Andrew's Day, the ground was shaken by an earthquake so that many buildings collapsed, right? So then we have in 1184, a comet and all of the stuff that happened with it. It brought heavy rain and storms, wind and thunder had never been heard before. This element acted as if it was going to destroy Rome completely. 1462, another great, wonderful comet appeared in the sky in Italy, followed by a great famine, so that people perished and were found dead in alleys. In 1401, a large comet with a peacock tail appeared in the sky over Germany. This one's interesting because it has that wedge shape that other one I was showing you had. So it has kind of a wedge. Followed by the most severe plague in Swabia. 1527, several streaks of long spears were seen next to the comet, with several faces and small swords in amongst them, all intermingled in a pale red color. Between them could be seen several large flames that blaze very brightly with a fiery light, and the faces with hairs and beards and color of gray clouds were seen here and there to be flickering through each other as if they were lying in water that was flowing in rivulets of blood. And then in here you see this comet in Pegasus, the horse, streaking down through artist's rendition of it that brought about an amazing fire. It talks about the one here over in Serbia. And Here is the Moscow fire that takes place, burning everything in 1812. All the stuff that's happening here with the celestial flash going on. Here is a disastrous connection, 2 comets sighted in 1456. You can see these 2 comets they brought down. You can see the fire coming down from the heavens. The ground is upheaving where it's splitting. The trees are cracking. The buildings are going on fire. And people are grabbing their chests. They're having heart attacks. You can see the New York fire in 1835, the Pittsburgh fire in 1845, Chicago fire of 1871, the Boston fire in 1872, the Chicago fire of 1871, followed by the Seattle fire of 1889, the San Francisco fire in 1906, and the Baltimore fire in 1904. I point this out to you because you can see that there's a pattern of stuff that happened during this time, and it makes you wonder why. This is all during the Industrial Revolution. Why was all this happening during this epoch of time? What was going on? It's just, to me, when I see patterns like that they seem to be not such a coincidence. It makes you wonder, okay, well, what's going on? Because the heavens are happening, stuff is happening, and they're here on Earth. They're writing about it as they're drawing, trying to depict what they're seeing. They're writing about what's happening on Earth that's correlating with what's going on and above. So I think the comets are a big deal, and we've got history telling us they're saying that there's major connection. So yeah, very interesting stuff.
Hey, Mark, did you see the electric universe that was put forth by Dr. Thornhill? So they brought in, of all things, a mythologist, and the same thing, they were tying the astronomical, the cosmology, and this mythologist couldn't figure out why these stories separated by hundreds, thousands of years from different cultures across the history of the earth were using the same exact symbols in their storytelling.
Yeah.
And he was brought there, and then what happened is now Thornhill was showing them the plasma discharges and stuff that were happening above in their head, and why. And if you haven't seen it, they tie all these shapes and things of why there's fear in the heavens. And it dawned on this mythologist, they were describing the universe above their heads in their own words, in their own culture, as far as, the dragon eating its own tail, which goes around the circles that are, and it's across all these cultures. So if you haven't seen it, I'll send that link to you. But
okay.
It's an hour long. Sorry, it's not 20 minutes, but it's very good.
I did see a video that a gentleman had put. He had created plasma inside of a glass sphere.
Yeah.
The shapes that it took on matched exactly the hieroglyphics that the natives have put on stone here in America.
That's exactly what they're describing. Yeah. And also the Chinese, the different hats they have actually matched shapes of constellations. I mean, it's none of this is by accident.
So. Oh. Yeah, good stuff.
I hope you send the link to us as well.
You'll get it. All right.
Okay, thank you.
I had to step away briefly, and you were talking about sending out an email, Mark. What was that? Can it contain?
So it's an email that will show the comets that are going to be up between now and November and the path that they're taking, so that you can look on E.W. Bullinger's site, so you can find out what the biblical understanding of that constellation is, and then you can see the story, what they're passing through, the message that's being told to those of us on Earth.
Ah, wonderful. Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you, everyone.
Yeah. Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
I found it interesting that if you noticed, those fires were almost all in the 1800s. Why were all of those fires happening in that window of time, that burning the whole city down? It's just like, was this plasma? And if you remember me telling you that they had found that Tanis, Egypt, that the all of the huge um, obelisks and granite statues were busted in pieces and all burned on the eastern side of all of it. Not any other face, but the eastern face. And they had come to the conclusion that a burst of plasma came through and destroyed everything there. And if you read the articles of the Chicago fire, of the eyewitness accounts that are written in a publicized book, they will tell you that they saw balls, blue and green balls that were dancing in the sky above and hitting different areas. And it's all describing a plasma event. Yeah. Summer.
It's Randy.
Oh,
Quick question, Cyrus, you probably remember or know this better than I do. Like, what year in 18 is late 1800s when they had the EMP, and it's the event that
The Carrington event,
the Carrington event,
1859, I believe it was.
1859, and yeah, they talk about all the plasma that was seen during that event.
And we are in danger of an X-class flare today and tomorrow. There is a new boy in town. I think it's 4475. I'm not sure. It's a gigantic coronal hole, and it's already thrown out a M7 yesterday, which is in its own right, that's pretty powerful solar storm. But they say this one is capable of producing an X-class flare at any time. So wouldn't it be interesting if there's an X, 7, 8, 9, and then all the shooting stops because nobody's equipment works?
Well, that would certainly bring peace quickly.
That would bring peace, wouldn't it?
not only that, but if it would stop all of the media and the news channels, bring them down to the,
that would be a blessing. That would be.
I have to agree.
Pamela?
Go for it, Pam.
Oh, right. Here I go. When you were talking about the dancing balls of blue and green, it reminded me of something. In 83, December, I was at my parents' house and lightning struck the walnut tree right outside. It ran, my sister had just pulled up in a car with my cousin. They saw these balls of bluish green balls going across the yard to the house. What we didn't realize till the next day when it got light and we could go out and walk around, that lightning had run the roots of that walnut tree. And one of them went over to metal furniture they had sitting outside their carport, jumped on the balls, jumped up on the glider. The Christmas lights looped down just above the glider around the carport. It followed the Christmas lights around the porch. What my sister couldn't see, I saw on the inside of the house, where those Christmas lights plugged in on the porch outside. Just as I got close by, a flame came through from the outlet, from the wall where that outlet was on the outside of the house. It tore through, well, it wasn't sheetrock, it was what, plaster and lath back then? I mean, this was a 1930s house. Anyway, So that can happen in lightning strikes too. Those balls of, you're nodding your head. So I'm not crazy. Was
Yeah.
that plasma or was that lightning?
Well, those balls were plasma. Yeah. There's some videos you can see of it. There's videos if you balls if you type in ball videos of balls of lightning, people have videoed it, and it's you can see it. It's amazing.
All right. Thank you. I will.
I was going to back her up. You're not crazy. Many pilots that have had lightning strikes on board, the passengers have seen plasma balls. That's what they were. Balls of fire go down the aisle, right down through the middle of the aircraft. So,
And they lived to tell about it?
oh yeah, they're still here. So,
would those things hurt you if they touched you?
I've actually seen the same. I made the mistake of listening to an instructor navigator when I was going through training, and I wanted to avoid a thunderstorm, and the instructor I had said, "No, I'm painting a hole," and he took me into a major thunderstorm, and I got to see lightning going past the aircraft with those balls spinning off the lightning bolts. So it's super plasma. Yeah, it's just
So
you're not crazy. You're not crazy.
I had an engineer friend of mine that he theorized that the electricity that's as you go up in the atmosphere, the current increases, and he theorized that every 200 to 300 years, that just like the other cycles, that electricity goes back up higher and then comes down lower into the lower atmosphere. When that comes down, you have increased chances of the balls of lightning happening here on Earth, and this may have been what caused the Chicago fires. There may have been, or all those ones I'd mentioned in the 17 and 1800s. So, because you can see in those comets back in the 1400s, they were happening again, and so you can see this 200-300 year cycle happening, and we're approaching that end of that cycle is happening now. So
Mrs. Molly's cows didn't really start the Chicago fire, or whoever it was?
No, it wasn't. And that if you remember, the California fire had the metal melting that ran down in the. This is what plasma does. So yeah, we're entering into some special times.
Yes, we are.
Yeah.
Look up, your help comes from on high.
Yeah. Amen.
And make sure you've got a lot of grounding rods in your
Yeah, you can look behind me here at my panel and see what happens when you get struck by lightning. We still haven't recovered from that.
I was going to say, it's not going to be good for those people who are relying on their renewables and electricity. I think we might be going back to, hammer and chisel and that sort of thing.
That's right.
Old-fashioned saws.
Yeah. Yep. That's right.
How about we have a word of prayer before we dismiss, since we didn't start with a word of prayer? Okay. I'll volunteer. Gracious Heavenly Father, we thank you for this opportunity that we can come together as your children, your family. We thank you, Father, for bringing this very special brother who has a way of pointing us to the right place at the right time to look for your signs and seasons. We thank you for him because he's very special to us. I know we don't always understand what you're trying to tell us, but it is really a beautiful thing to know that the heavens declare your glory. And we thank you for that, Father. We would ask blessings upon each and every one here, Father. Also, the Yurka Hall worldwide is going through a time of trial, a time of defining. It doesn't know who it is. please have your Ruach help each and every Kahal to learn who they are, to understand who they are, to realize that we don't have to be New Testament Christians. We don't need the New Testament. We need to know and understand and live your Torah, Father, because that teaches us everything that the New Testament could possibly teach us. We thank you, Father. Guide us and direct us and keep our hearts and minds safe from the enemy, and forgive us of our many sins. We ask this in your name and that of your Son, Yeshua HaMashiach. Amen.
Amen. Thank you all for having me. It's so good to see you.
Thank
Amen.
you.
Good seeing
Great to see you, Mark and Greg and
Yep.
everybody else.
Tell Miss Polly hello for us.
Yeah.
Miss her.
And hug those
Well,
little ones. I've so enjoyed their laughter. What a blessing.
yeah, that's how I have to study. I hear that all day long.
Oh, wow. I'm jealous.
All right. Shalom, shalom.
Shalom, shalom.
everyone.
Shalom, family. Love you.
Here we go.